it's time to clean. But not here, the other room. So we're gonna clean in here. Welcome to my workroom. This is my workroom that is not my studio, which is where you normally see me. This is where I prep for my retreats. This is where I store lots of my crafty goodies. And that table is almost a perpetual mess. We're gonna use the 1 hour better method from Dana K. White, which is all part of a collaboration. More info on that coming soon. So stay tuned for the video so you can learn all about that. But we're gonna tackle the table, the floor, and the closet because they're a hot mess. So join me as I clean up the space, and I also talk about some fun places where you can get rid of the items that are not trash, but you are ready to part with them, your purged items. Where can you donate them besides just putting them in the trash? I've got some tips, tricks, and ideas for you. So let's jump in and let's clean up my space. But first, calling in the big guns, my mom. I'm Erin Makes, and join me while we play with all things crafty and creative by making projects, going to fun crafty events, and just all things creative. Welcome to my channel. Part of the 1 hour better method is you set yourself 1 hour to get your job done. So I've set my clock. Okay, 1 hour, let's go. So the first hurdle of the day was to clean off my work table in the middle of my craft space. And this is actually my workroom, and I did enlist the help of my mother to help me get this room all organized and set because it just became a dumping ground for everything that came from my studio where I film and I create. And then this is my storage room where all items are kept. So step one was getting the table cleaned off and putting all the items back to where they belonged in their respective organized tubs. Found my first purge item. This is an item I bought and it wasn't quite to my expectations. So guess what? It is gonna get donated. Found another thing to purge. I cut all these for a project. It was actually for kids, and these were all the leftovers, but I know a teacher who would probably love these. So I have a whole slew of totes that I used to practice sublimation for one of my retreats that I did, and they just didn't quite turn out, see? So not sure what else I'm gonna do with them. Some of them I even did like front and back. So I'm gonna donate them, and you never know, somebody might absolutely love them. Another example of some products that I have had for ages, and unfortunately this company no longer exists, but there's something wrong with them. But because I can't promote this on any of my channels and there's nowhere else to buy them, donate they go. Found yet another tub full of like random ribbons that I have not touched in a long time, probably 5 or 6 years. Time to say bye-bye. Cleared this, there goes the dog. So check it out, I actually cleared the table of junk. That is a big deal. So now it's time to tackle the next spot, which is that closet. All right, let's get it done. There is way too much stuff stuffed in this closet. I think I've had this for about 15 years, but I haven't used it in the last 10. And that's one of the key things about purging. If it's something you haven't touched in at least 3 or 4 years, why do you still have it? Obviously, it's not something you're gravitating to or grabbing or using, so it's time to move on and give it to somebody else who would love it. Look, it's so much better. Look at that. So earlier I mentioned something about a collaboration. So all month long for January 2025, Cara Brandon Creations has put together this amazing collaboration with Dana K. White. Now, along with Cara and Dana, and of course myself, there are a ton of other creatives, and just to mention a couple because they were my educators at my last retreat, Eileen Hull and Cassandra Louise. So all through the month of January, make sure you go and check out all the different videos that are part of the hashtag Declutter Organize 2025. There are videos like mine where we pick a space and we declutter, and we're using the 1 hour better method. So we set a time, put it up for an hour, and you have an hour to clean that space. It is a ton more fun with a friend, which is why I invited my mom over. And there are also some fun videos where they're using decluttering coaches, streaming live, and working in a space so you can jump on and listen to the coaches and think the same thing and go through and work on your space that needs a little bit of decluttering help. Link to all the decluttering videos are down below. We have a full spreadsheet where you can click on each one. Everybody would love if you liked and subscribed. Now let's jump back over. Let me show you what the finished room looked like. Also, how I am donating all these items and where you can donate them. So here it is. It's about 90% done, not 100%, but pretty darn close. And I will never call this room 100% done because you're always going to get new stuff. You're always going to be throwing old trash away. So as any craft room, as you probably well know, it's always in motion. New things are coming in, old things are going out. I think we're not the best about getting the old stuff out of there, but it is better than when it started. The table is no longer full of junk. Well, now it's full of new junk, so let's talk about what's on the table. These are all the things I am gonna donate, and I'm not gonna go through every single one in detail. You saw a few things that I was ready to donate, but I'm also gonna talk about why I've got, you know, shipping boxes on here. So a while ago, I picked up a whole bunch of these shipping boxes from the post office because they are big enough to fit a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. Now, I don't know about you, but I am a hoarder of paper, beautiful paper. Anybody else feeling that way? So I had been going through some of my stash of papers for a while, and as I did not like that paper stack, maybe it was all about baby boy, baby girl, and my youngest is now 12, there's just no reason to keep any of those things because I've already done all of their scrapbook baby books and things. And since it was such a nice big box, pretty much everything else as I was coming across it that I'm like, you know what, I'm done with it, I don't need it. I put them in these boxes, and I had it actually stored in this room down like on the ground, which now 2 new tubs are there. So bonus, I fit other things that I need to keep down there versus just stuffed on my table or shoved in the closet, which was another big problem. Closet's now fixed, yeah. So this is a great way if you're just wanting to do small purges, and then when you're ready to donate them, you can just donate the entire box. It does not cost a thing, it is recyclable, so this is a great way to kind of purge along the way. I seem to have an issue with keeping old tote bags. I don't know why I decided to keep all these bags, but I do not use any of them anymore, so they're going on to another lovely home. But I have not gotten into this container for a very long time, or this one. I don't think I've opened and used anything out of these 2 packages in probably 6 or 7 years. So if I haven't gone in them and used them, why do I still have them? I mean, I have enough craft stuff. Is this really necessary to keep? And the answer is no, it's really not. So you get the idea for the things that I am purging. Your purge items might be very different than mine, but the bottom line is, if you haven't used it, you haven't thought about it, you haven't touched it in a super duper long time, maybe it's time to let it go. Now, beyond just the stuff we're gonna donate, there was a ton of trash that was just shoved in this room, taking up space of things that shouldn't have been there. I mean, I don't know why I still had it, but I still had like bubble mailers in my room. I don't know. Tissue paper, anybody? I don't need that. I mean, just take a look at all the trash I was able to collect out of this room. That is way too much trash. Good news is, it's gonna be out of this room because it will actually go into the trash can now. And like boxes full of stuff. Well, it wasn't stuff. They were actually cards. All of my handmade cards are cards that were left over from my card swap that I had left over, haven't quite donated yet. I needed to keep them for whatever reason, and they were in so many different containers. They were in the boxes, and not just one box. 4 separate boxes around this room. They were shoved in these various tote bags. I had 3 separate tote bags full of cards. So what did I do? I put them all together in this one big container that fits up here. Now, my next job is to actually donate a lot of those cards because I don't need to keep every single one of these. Some of these cards I have had for over 10 years, and the ones I personally made, so I kind of hung on to them. But I've also had a plethora of extra cards coming through with my card swaps, but it is now time to donate those. There are a number of different places that you can donate cards. You can donate your cards to senior citizens' homes, put them in an envelope, and then they can give them to their residents for Christmas, for Easter, for their birthdays, and things like that. Check with the homes first to make sure they're willing to accept them, but most of them do.
If you're looking for another amazing place to donate your cards, look no further than Cards for Kindness by Creative Kindness. Back in 2020, Scrapbook.com began collecting handmade cards from Creative Kind volunteers and delivered them to people in need of an uplift and care. You send in your handmade cards that are blank inside with no personal message to Creative Kindness. All the guidelines, the instructions for the cards they accept are all listed on their website. When you're ready to mail them in, simply fill out the online submission form. The Creative Kindness team organizes and distributes the cards to cancer foundations, hospitals, shelters, retirement homes, children's homes, and other organizations in need. To see all the partner organizations that Creative Kindness teams up with, check out their website. They are constantly adding new partners all the time. The cards are then used by nurses, doctors, staff members, counselors, parents, and volunteers who add handwritten messages of encouragement and love before giving them to the patients, children, and other people in need. This is a wonderful organization where you can share your love for your creativity and card making and spread the love to somebody else who would absolutely appreciate your little work of art. Yet another organization that you can donate your cards to is Cards for Cubs. It is a registered nonprofit organization aimed to support and encourage young people in foster care through uplifting handmade cards, reminding them that they are not alone. And they're just about to start collecting cards for 2025. Now let's hear it from them.
Cards for Cubs is more than just a nonprofit, it's a community-driven mission to spread hope and kindness. Cards for Cubs is a 501c3 charitable organization whose mission is to provide hope to kids in foster care by distributing handmade cards. We enlist the help of card makers, foster care organizations, and sponsors to get these cards to those in need.
These cards may seem small, but they carry big messages of love, value, and support. For kids and young adults who are navigating difficult times, each card reminds them that they're not alone.
Every card is handmade by volunteers all over the country. Each one is a reflection of creativity and care. We partner with foster care agencies, card makers, and volunteers to ensure that these messages of hope reach as many kids and young adults as possible.
At Cards for Cubs, our vision is to create a world where every child and young adult in foster care feels seen, valued, and supported. Together, we can make this a reality.
Learn how you can get involved today at cardsforcubs.org. Whether you're donating, volunteering, or helping us spread the word, you're playing a vital role in this mission.
Let's give these kids a reason to smile, one handmade card at a time.
If you're looking for places, those are just a few ideas for what to do with your cards to donate them, and therefore they don't just sit in your room, not being used and not being loved. All right, so let's talk about where you can donate the things that are not trash, the things that are still good, they're still valid, they still have a use. You just personally don't have a use for them anymore. Where can you take them? All right, so this is another hack. You can get these tubs at the post office again. I do return them, I never keep them, but it is something that's free that you can use if you're picking up lots of mail. So I pick up lots of mail because I do the card swaps. So I always have a couple of these on hand, which was great for just helping sort. That way you don't have to go buy a new tub, you can just borrow theirs and just make sure you get it back. So super easy. So what is in this tub? Let's talk about what's in this tub. So these are all items that I've decided to purge out of my space. I've had these items for way too long. They're of no more use to me. I don't need them anymore. I'm ready to pass them on to somebody who loves them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It is brand new. So what this group of items, instead of being donated to some of the other places, which we'll talk about here in a minute, these are specifically going to be going into my card swaps. So I host a card swap a couple of times a year, and every time I send the packages back, I always put a little gift into all of my card swappers packages that get shipped back with their swapped cards. So these are going to be some of the little presents that I'm going to be popping into their envelopes. So if you're one of my card swappers, then you might get one of these fun items. They're sometimes gently used, they're sometimes brand new, there's nothing wrong with them. They could be stamp sets that maybe it's a company that I no longer work with or that doesn't exist, but there's nothing wrong with them. But because I keep working with other companies, I can't keep everything in stock, so you benefit from the purge of my items. I also keep some of these items because I do massive giveaways a couple of times a year of my purged items, so I do have a box of goodies that are specifically for giveaways that are gently used, not used at all, that I package together and then I use as giveaways. So that's one way that I get rid of the items, but that may not be something that's feasible to you. So what can you do to get rid of your items? Well, the first one is called Free Cycle, or maybe you have a trash to treasure group in your neighborhood. So these are all over Facebook, and you can find them by searching Trash to Treasure, Free Cycle, something along those lines. And you probably have a zone for your area that somebody runs out of the generosity of their heart. You join the group, you take a picture of the item, and then you post it to the Facebook group. And then if somebody is interested and you say free, you cannot buy these items. These are purely people that are trying to purge items out of their house and people that would like to have that other item. This little tote bag here would be a perfect item to take a picture of, or I could even put together a bundle of items and say, hey, crafty items, here's a big bundle, porch pickup. Once you and the person who you have picked to be the winner, maybe it's the first person to comment, or maybe it's a random draw, you decide when and where to pick it up, you place it out on your front table or your front porch, and then they come and pick it up at their leisure, usually within a time frame that you have allotted. So that's one way that is super easy. It just sets it outside of your front house and you can get rid of it that way. It is piecemeal, so unless nobody's really willing to pick up what I have all of these items here on this table, but if you're willing to kind of do a lot of picture taking and posting, that is one easy way that you don't have to leave your house to get rid of your items. Other places are donation centers, Goodwill, Salvation Army, and here in Austin, which is where I live, we have a very specific donation place that is purely just for arts and crafts. You take all the items that you no longer want. They can be bits and pieces, they can be full. Just make sure you check with your local areas about what they're willing to accept, and you drop it off. They sort through it all, they repackage it, and then they sell it, and it helps reuse and recycle items in the area. The money that is used for all of the resell of your donated items helps create jobs for people. It helps create donation donation money for other organizations. So there's a plethora of different ways that you can help donate some of these gently used items, or even some of your brand new items, to different donation organizations around your area. So just check with what you have available in your space. There are definitely Goodwills all over the place. So that is one way to make sure that your products don't end up in a landfill, is by donating them. A third way to donate your items is go to your local schools. It could be high school, middle school, elementary schools. It could be private schools. It could even be retirement centers that are looking for supplies to use in their art rooms, or for the retirement centers, it could also be used for one of their enrichment activities. So double check with all of your schools. My school specifically, I have already communicated with my daughter's art teacher, so she's going to be taking some of these supplies to her art teacher piecemeal by piecemeal, a little bit at a time, so she's not super overwhelmed, and donating it to the kids at her school, so that way they can love and use those items, because they create all kinds of fun projects throughout the year. And as we all know, teachers in preschools, middle schools, high schools, elementaries do not have a ton of funding. So whatever you can do to pay it forward to your local spaces, paints, papers, paintbrushes, you name it, stickers, glue, they would love all of it, because it will get used. And the last one is check with your local library. There might be some amazing places that your local library can steer you towards, local nonprofits that could use some of your crafty items. They might even have a craft swap kind of a day, or even your library might take some of your gently used or brand new craft supplies, because they host events as well. Or maybe it's a community center that is in your area. There is a ton of different ways that you can help donate your crafty new or used items that you have purged from your craft room, that keeps them out of the landfill. The whole point, yes, we want to purge our craft room, and then the next point is we want to pass along all of these amazing items to those that could absolutely need it, and keep it out of the landfill. Less trash that we have in the landfill, the better. Absolutely, we don't want to create any more trash than we have to, especially if the items are in wonderful condition. You just no longer have a use for them, as somebody else might. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I've inspired you to get into your craft space, to get into your workroom, to get into your craft room, to get into your closet where you might be keeping your things. I have stuff stashed all over my space. I have this wonderful room, and I also have my other room. I've yet to conquer my actual craft room where I do all my videoing. That is next on the list. I'd absolutely love to see you on any of my socials. Reach out, say hi, and let me know if you have been able to declutter, purge, and get rid of, donate those amazing crafty items to those who need it.
Down, I'm gonna put them up here in a minute. I didn't realize I was backwards. So in my mind, I'm envisioning like I had the tiger, dun, 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 dun. No? So let's back, blah, 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 blah. God.